My parents told me to skip Thanksgiving because seeing you happy would hurt your sister too much right now. She'd just gone through a divorce. I just announced my engagement. I backed off without raising a fuss. 2 days later, I found the pictures online. My sister was beaming. Her husband was standing right beside her. They had lied, and that's when I knew I was never truly family to them. What if the people you're supposed to trust most in the world not only betrayed you, but weaponized your own wedding against you? That wasn't a hypothetical. That was my life, and I had no idea how truly broken my family was until I stared at the evidence, piece by painful piece. My name is Ethan, and for as long as I can remember, I was the quiet observer in my own story. The air in our house, growing up, always felt heavy with unspoken rules and unwritten favoritism. Olivia, my older sister, was the dazzling supernova, demanding all the light and attention, while I silently orbited in her shadow. I was born 3 years after Olivia, and from the moment I could understand anything, it was always Olivia this, Olivia that. She was the one, the star. My mom, Sarah, would throw herself into every ballet bake sale, every school event for Olivia. When I made varsity soccer, my dad, David, would offer a quick, "That's great, buddy," then vanish mid-game to rush Olivia to her piano recital. It stung, even then, but I told myself it was just how things were. Olivia was the drama, the emotion, the magnetic force pulling everyone in. I was the quiet constant, reliable, completely invisible. I learned early on that if I just kept my head down, didn't ask for much, I could avoid the storm. That became my pattern, my default, stepping aside so Olivia could always take center stage. Birthdays, graduations, even Christmas. One year, I unwrapped a hoodie. Olivia, in 10th grade, got a brand new MacBook for college applications. It felt like a punch to the gut, but I just kept quiet. Again. After college, I got out, found a stable tech job, built a quiet life. Not out of anger, but out of a desperate need for peace. I cultivated a small, real circle, got a decent apartment, and then everything changed. I met Sophia. She was grounding, funny, incredibly kind. The type of person who saw me, truly saw me, in a way my family never had. She remembered my birthday, asked about my deepest thoughts. After 3 years on a quiet beach, just us, a thermos of hot cider, and a ring I'd saved for months, I asked her to marry me. We both cried. It was, without a doubt, the happiest moment of my life. A moment I couldn't wait to share. Then Thanksgiving rolled around. Or, more accurately, it didn't roll around for us. Our family always made a huge deal out of it. My parents, David and Sarah, hosted. Everyone flew in. Too much food, endless board games, Dad, David, attempting to carve the turkey like he was Gordon Ramsay. This year, I was genuinely excited. It would be Sophia's first big family Thanksgiving. She'd met my parents briefly, but this was the grand introduction. I'd even practiced how I'd announce our engagement, maybe a toast, maybe passing the pie. I had it all mapped out. Then a week before the holiday, my mom, Sarah, called. Her voice was too quiet, almost sickly sweet, perfectly rehearsed. "Hey honey, listen. Your dad and I were talking, and we think maybe this year it's best if you sit Thanksgiving out." I blinked. Wait, what? It's just, with everything Olivia's going through right now. You know, the divorce. Olivia and Noah had been separated for a few months. It was messy, crying, dramatic Facebook posts, even a smashed windshield. Hers, not his. But she was the one who'd initiated the split. "I know she's hurting," I said slowly, trying to process. "But what does that have to do with me?" Sarah sighed, a practiced, long-suffering sound. "Well, we just think it would be too painful for her to see you and Sophia right now. You're engaged. She's not. It might be too much for her." I stood there, speechless. Uninviting me, because Olivia might get sad? The words felt like a physical blow. "It's not like that, Ethan," she rushed to say. "We love you. We're proud of you. We just think this year it's about keeping the peace. You understand, right?" I didn't understand. Not one bit. But the old reflex kicked in. "Sure, Mom. Whatever's best." I hung up, my hand shaking, before I could scream what I really felt. Sophia found me minutes later, slumped on the couch, staring at nothing. I tried to recount the call, tried to laugh it off, but my voice broke. She just held me, murmuring, "You don't have to explain. I get it." We ended up spending Thanksgiving alone, just us. We botched box stuffing, burned the cranberry sauce, watched old movies. I tried, truly tried, to enjoy it, but a quiet, bitter knot twisted in my stomach all day. It wasn't just being uninvited. It was the casual certainty in my parents' voices, the assumption that, of course, Olivia's sadness would always eclipse my happiness, that my joy was just less important. Then came Saturday. Sophia was scrolling through Instagram, chuckling at dog reels, when she suddenly froze. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice tight, "come here." She handed me her phone. Olivia's page. A photo. She was in my parents' dining room, mimosa in hand, grinning, makeup perfectly done, sparkly dress. The table groaned with food, stuffing, pies, my mom's legendary green bean casserole. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. It was Noah, her heartbroken husband, standing right beside her, arm around her waist, smiling. "What?" I breathed. Sophia bit her lip. "Maybe it's an old picture?" I swiped. Another photo. Olivia holding pie, caption, "Pumpkin season is healing season." Hashtag Thanksgiving. Tagged, my parents, my cousins, Noah. It wasn't old. They were all there. Noah, the man she was supposedly too fragile to be in the same room with me and Sophia. They hadn't just lied to protect Olivia. They'd lied to exclude us. I wish I could tell you I blew up, called them, demanded an explanation. But I didn't. I just stared at those photos, my heart hammering against my ribs, 1,000 thoughts colliding in my head. And then, for the first time in what felt like forever, something inside me just snapped. This wasn't about one Thanksgiving. It wasn't about one lie. This was about everything. Every single time I'd meekly taken the back seat so Olivia could shine. Every quiet moment I'd endured just to keep the peace. Every forced smile while I was sidelined, overlooked. The crushing realization hit me. I wasn't truly family to them. I was a convenient prop. Someone they could silence, push aside, or sacrifice if it made Olivia's life, their lives, just a little bit smoother. And in that moment, I started thinking. Planning. Because if they didn't want me in their family, not truly, then maybe it was time they saw what happened when I stopped playing along. Thanksgiving was the beginning of the end. I didn't confront them. Not immediately. Instead, I let the silence hang, thick and heavy. For once, I didn't reach out. No calls about the turkey. No, "Hope you had a good one" text to David. I didn't even bother with a sarcastic emoji on Olivia's post. I just vanished from the family group chat. It took them 5 days to notice. On the 6th, a text from Sarah. "Hey, sweetie. Everything okay? Haven't heard from you." I stared at it, locked my phone, flipped it face down on the coffee table. Sophia and I had just walked through the park, the leaves turning that golden brown that makes you ache for things you haven't even experienced yet. She sat beside me, warm mug in hand. "You going to talk to them?" she asked softly. I just shook my head. "Not yet." She never pushed. That's one of the million things I love about her. She just sits with me in the quiet until I'm ready. 2 days later, "Ethan, are you mad at us?" No reply. Then the calls came. "Sarah." I let them ring out. A voicemail hours later. Her voice, chirpy, upbeat, as if nothing had happened. "Hey honey, just wanted to say hi. We miss you. Your dad says hi. Olivia might be coming over this weekend for a girls' night, but we'd love to do dinner with you and Sophia soon. Let me know." I played it twice. The first time, in utter disbelief. The second, with a chilling certainty. Girls' night, I thought bitterly. With her still married husband, apparently. Weeks bled into months. I maintained my distance. Sophia and I focused on us, on our engagement. We started sketching out wedding plans. Small, meaningful, maybe a mountaintop ceremony with just a few close friends. I didn't breathe a word of it to my family. Not because I forgot, because I chose not to. Then, right before Christmas, David finally broke the silence. He showed up at my apartment. I didn't even know he knew my address. But there he was, a hulking figure in a heavy winter coat, knocking like he owned the place. I opened the door just a crack, leaned against the frame. "Hey, can I come in?" he asked, rubbing gloved hands. It's freezing. I didn't budge. What do you want, Dad? He blinked, clearly thrown. What do I, Ethan? What's going on? Your mom's been worried sick. My eyebrow shot up. Worried enough to call me before Thanksgiving. He frowned. That's not fair. We did call you. No, I cut him off. You called to tell me not to come. A long, strained silence. She was hurting, Ethan. We were just trying to keep things from getting worse. I stared him down. She posted selfies with her husband, Dad. His jaw tightened. That's complicated. No. I snapped, the words finally bubbling over. It's not. What's complicated is you asking me to step aside so Olivia can keep pretending she's the victim in a breakup she started. He looked away. You lied, I said, my voice softer, but no less lethal. You chose her again. Like always. I didn't choose, he started. Stop. The hallway was dead quiet, save for the hum of the heater. I've always made it easy for you, I continued, my voice trembling now but with resolve. I never caused problems. Never complained when you skipped my games. Never brought up how you spent $5,000 on Olivia's Cabo birthday trip and told me to be grateful for a Target gift card. Never said anything when she crashed my car and you told me to be the bigger person. I let it all go, Dad, because I thought if I just kept being good, you'd eventually see me. His eyes flickered, just for a second. But you never did, I finished. And now I'm done trying. He didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, a slow, defeated nod. If that's how you feel. It is. He turned to leave. Oh, and Dad, I added. He paused, rigid. We're getting married in June. We'll be sending invites soon. You don't have to come. He opened his mouth, then closed it, left without a word. I shut the door, my hands shaking. Sophia stood in the kitchen, silently watching. When I finally met her gaze, she just nodded. Good, she said. Christmas came and went. No cards, no calls, just another set of carefully curated photos on Instagram. Olivia, in matching pajamas with my parents. Noah right beside her. The caption, sometimes healing means surrounding yourself with the ones who always show up. #family first. That one stung more than any of the others. It wasn't just a photo, it was a message, loud and clear. They weren't just ignoring me. They were replacing me, actively rewriting the family narrative to paint Olivia as the golden child, and me as the bitter, self-imposed outsider. And the worst part, they believed it. January was eerily quiet. Too quiet. I stopped checking Olivia's page, eventually unfollowing her. I thought, maybe this is it. A clean break. Painful, but clean. Then came February. And with it, the betrayal that didn't just hurt, it finally shattered every last illusion I'd clung to since I was a kid. It started with a text from my cousin, Chloe. We weren't super close, but friendly enough. Hey, Ethan, super random question. Are you registered at Crate and Barrel? I blinked at the message. Registered? I hadn't told anyone in the extended family about our wedding. No. What? Weird. Just gotta save the date for your wedding. Says registries at Crate and Barrel. Thought it might be fake. My stomach dropped. Cold. I called her instantly. What did the invite look like? I demanded. Beige, gold lettering. Said Ethan and Sophia in script. June date. Same last name. I figured it was you. I rubbed my temples, a slow dread creeping in. Can you send me a picture? She did. It was my name. Sophia's name. But the RSVP email address, I'd never seen it before. The venue. Some lavish event space, 3 towns over. We hadn't even booked anything. Someone was pretending to host our wedding. I showed Sophia. Her face went white. Is this a scam? She whispered. I don't think so, I said slowly, a horrifying realization dawning. I think it's worse. I scrolled down the digital invite. Clear as day. Hosted lovingly by David and Sarah Henderson. My parents' names. My heart hammered. They had fabricated an entire wedding event in our names. Without telling us. The guest list. I didn't even want to know. I called Sarah. No answer. Called again. Called David. Nothing. Finally, I messaged Olivia. Hey, did you send out wedding invites in my name? Her reply came instantly. Relax. Mom and Dad just wanted to help you out. You've been so distant lately. They figured you were overwhelmed. We thought it'd be a nice surprise. A surprise? They'd hijacked my wedding. Decided they knew better. Invited people I hadn't spoken to in years. Claimed they were helping. All while deliberately cutting me out of every single decision. I couldn't breathe. Sophia, reading over my shoulder, reached for my hand. We need to talk to them. Now. I nodded. But no calls this time. We drove. 40 minutes felt like an eternity. Snow still dusting the ground. Tires crunching over icy patches as I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles ached. Their lights were on when we arrived. Noah's car was there too. I pounded on the door. Sarah opened it, looking utterly shocked. Ethan, honey, you should have called. We would have. I just held up the fake invite. Her face paled. She glanced nervously behind her, then stepped outside, pulling the door shut. It was just a gesture, she rushed to say. You've been so distant. We didn't know your plans. We didn't want people to think you weren't, including family. So you just made it up. My voice was rising, raw. You picked a venue, created an email, and told people you were hosting my wedding. You're our son, she cried. We were just trying to help. No, I countered, my voice dangerously low. You were trying to control it, like everything else. She folded her arms, her chin. Trembling. You're being dramatic. That word. Dramatic. The label always thrown at me, the one they reserved for Olivia's histrionics while protecting her. And here I was, finally setting a boundary, and I was the problem. Sophia stepped forward, her voice calm but steel-edged. Let me be clear. We are planning our wedding. Not you, not Olivia, not Noah. Us. And if you can't respect that, you're not coming. Sarah blinked as if Sophia had slapped her. We just wanted to feel included. I let out a bitter, humorless laugh. You had one chance. One. You uninvited me from Thanksgiving. You lied. And now this. She looked genuinely hurt, or pretended to be. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I took a step back. No, I said. You already did that. And in that moment I knew. I wasn't just stepping back anymore. I was stepping away. And the next part, that's when the real revenge began. It's funny, the silence after that. It felt louder than any scream. The ride home was heavy, exhausted, like Sophia and I had just run a marathon we never signed up for. My hands were still clenched on the steering wheel, hers twisting her coat sleeve in her lap. The only sound was the wipers, rhythmically clearing away light snow. Neither of us said it, but we both knew. Something had irrevocably broken. This wasn't a squabble anymore. This was a fracture, a deep, irreparable crack right through the foundation. I felt it in my bones, but I didn't cry. Not that night. Not the next morning. Not even when David texted. Your mother's very upset. We were only trying to help. If you want to move forward, let us know. That line. If you want to move forward. Like it was my responsibility again. Like I was the one who needed to fix it. I left it on read. The truth? I was utterly, completely empty. No fight left. No desire to explain, to defend, to apologize for not being the son they wanted. I was so tired. Tired of being the human buffer for their dysfunction. Tired of being the afterthought expected to be grateful for crumbs. In the weeks that followed, I slid into something close to depression. I went through the motions. Showering, working, answering emails, but I wasn't there. I was on autopilot. My appetite vanished. I lost weight. I started dodging calls from friends. Then Chloe messaged me, asking if I was okay, because Olivia was apparently telling everyone the wedding was postponed due to my mental health issues. I didn't even respond. Just closed my laptop and went to bed in the middle of the afternoon. That lie, it hit me like a physical blow. Not because it was unexpected, but because it was so perfectly, viciously calculated. They were painting themselves as the compassionate victims. Poor Ethan, he's struggling again. We're just so heartbroken we had to postpone the wedding. The narrative was being rewritten, and I was disappearing from my own story. The worst part, a small, bitter corner of my mind started to believe it. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was too sensitive, too distant, too cold. Maybe my parents had tried their best, and I just failed to be the son they could love properly. Then one morning in early March, I woke up to Sophia on our balcony, phone in hand, tears streaming down her face. My heart seized. I rushed out, terrified, asking what was wrong. She just handed me her phone. It was a message from her mom. "Sweetheart, I've been thinking. Ethan deserves better than this. You both do. If you want to do something just for you two, we'll support it. Financially, logistically, emotionally. No strings. Just let us help." I read it twice, then a third time, and for the first time in months, something stirred in me. Not anger. Hope. Sophia's parents had always been wonderful, quietly respectful, never intrusive. Her dad, a calm, observant man. Her mom, warm and chatty, always baking, but never overbearing. And now, they were offering a lifeline. Not just money, but a deep, unwavering emotional support. Something about that finally broke the dam I didn't even know I was holding back. I sank down beside her on the balcony, took her hand and whispered, "Okay, let's do this our way." That's how the rebuilding began. Not with some grand, sweeping gesture, but in quiet, deliberate steps. First, we canceled everything. The fake registry, the fake email, the venue my parents had, incredibly, put a deposit on without our knowledge. Turns out Olivia had helped them just in case Ethan changes his mind, she told Chloe. I called each vendor, explained the insane situation with as much professionalism as I could muster, then opened a blank spreadsheet. Our new wedding plan. This time it was ours. We rented a remote cabin in the mountains, a wraparound porch, a view that looked painted just for us. The guest list? No more than 20. No plus ones unless we personally knew them. No staged photos. Just love. Just real. And for the first time, wedding planning felt fun. We chose everything. The music, the vows, the food. Wood-fired pizza and a build-your-own Esmores bar. Sophia found a simple, elegant dress on Etsy. I bought a navy blue suit from a local shop. We invited her parents, my cousin Chloe, a few close college friends, and a handful of Sophia's oldest buddies. That was it. Not a single Henderson. And the strangest thing, it didn't feel empty. It felt perfect. The rebuilding didn't stop with the wedding. With Sophia's help, and finally, the space to see things clearly, I started making other changes. I set boundaries with people who drained me. I declined family Zoom calls where I knew passive-aggressive questions would fly. I even got a new phone number, only sharing it with people who genuinely cared. I started therapy, something I'd put off for years. In our first session, I told my therapist I felt like a ghost in my own family. He nodded, then said something I'll never forget. "That's because you were trained to disappear." It hit me harder than expected. Not because it was new, but because someone else finally said it. He framed it not as a weakness, but as survival. As a coping mechanism, I'd learned to stay sane in a household where love was conditional and peace always came at my expense. He helped me see that stepping away wasn't betrayal. It was healing. That summer, Sophia and I got married in the mountains, under a sky that truly looked painted just for us. The air smelled of pine and lavender. Sophia's dad walked her down the aisle, and when we said our vows, there wasn't a dry eye in that cabin, mine included. We didn't live-stream it. Didn't post pictures for weeks. None of the performative stuff that used to feel obligatory. It wasn't about proving anything. It was just about us. And when we got back home, there was a letter in our mailbox. No return address, just my name, written in careful cursive. Inside a card, "We're sorry we missed the wedding. We heard it was small and beautiful. We're hurt you didn't want us there, but we hope one day you'll come around. Family is forever." No signature, but I knew that elegant handwriting. Sarah always prided herself on her penmanship. I read it once, then again. And then, without anger, with a profound sense of peace, I put it in the shredder. Because that version of me, the one who would have written back, apologized, explained, he didn't exist anymore. I wasn't living in their story now. I was writing my own. A better story. One where I was finally the main character. One where I didn't have to apologize for being happy. Just when I thought the worst was behind me, just when I started to believe I'd finally found my peace, a message dropped into my inbox that changed everything. A message that would drag me right back into the drama I'd so carefully escaped. But this time I wouldn't be stepping away, quietly. I'd be stepping in with receipts. It was a Wednesday. I just finished a client call, halfway through reheating leftover pizza when my phone buzzed. A random Gmail address. Subject: you should probably see this. No greeting, no explanation, just a Google Drive link and one line of text. She's not who you think she is. I hovered over it, suspicious. Sophia glanced over. Spam, maybe. I muttered, but I clicked. The folder opened. Titled, Screenshots Olivia's Group Chat. My stomach plunged. Inside, dozens of screenshots, text messages, Instagram DMs, even a few voice notes. All from a group chat ominously named Henderson Wedding War Room. Participants: Sarah, Olivia, a few of Olivia's college friends. Curiously, not Noah, but a couple of his sisters chimed in with snide commentary. The first screenshot was dated months before Thanksgiving. Olivia: okay, but if Ethan thinks he's just going to show up and steal the spotlight with his little Pinterest engagement, he's dumber than I thought. LOL. Sarah: let's not be mean, sweetie. But yes, we need to be careful. This can't turn into Ethan and Sophia, the holiday special. It's not fair to you, Olivia. Olivia: exactly. Like, I'm going through a divorce, and now I have to pretend to be happy for them? Pass, Mom. We'll figure something out. Maybe suggest they sit out this year. We'll say it's about your healing. Sarah: Olivia, God, I love you. I stopped reading. My hands were shaking, so hard I nearly dropped the phone. The pizza sat forgotten on the counter. Sophia, silent, walked over and looked over my shoulder. I clicked the next screenshot. Then the next. It only got worse. Olivia a little later. Elmo, Noah's nickname, said he'll come to Thanksgiving if there's pie. Should we make it chocolate? So, Ethan really gets the message. Sarah: let's not be petty, but yes, he hates chocolate. Olivia: consider it done. Dozens more. Mocking our wedding plans. Calling Sophia generic. Joking about how Ethan probably still thinks we're being nice to keep the family together. Then one from David. It's just easier to let Olivia feel like she's a priority. Ethan doesn't hold grudges. He'll bounce back like always. That one hurt the most. Because it was true. I had always bounced back, quietly without complaint. And they were counting on it again. But this time, I wasn't bouncing. I scrolled, screenshot after screenshot, until one nearly made me drop the phone. Olivia, 3 weeks ago. Okay, so I was thinking, what if we just make a new Instagram account for their wedding? Post some pics, tag Crate and Barrel. Make it look real. That way people stop asking questions, and we can control the vibe. Ethan barely uses social anyway. Sarah: that's smart. Can we pull photos from Pinterest or something? Olivia: already on it. Just found one with a couple that looks kind of like them from behind. Mom, you're amazing. My ears burned. My heart thundered in my throat. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And yet, everything suddenly clicked into place. The fake wedding. The emails. The months of silent treatment. It was all coordinated. A slow, premeditated, brutal erasure of me and Sophia. And now I had proof. But I didn't rage. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. Instead, something settled inside me. Calm. Focused. Cold. I looked at Sophia, who was white as a ghost. You okay? She whispered. I nodded once. No. But I know exactly what I'm going to do. The first step was simple. I downloaded everything. Every screenshot, every file. Organized them by date, by topic. Added context in a separate Google document. I wasn't going to let anything get lost in translation. If I was going to war with my family, my armor needed to be airtight. I still have no idea who sent that email. Maybe someone in the chat grew a conscience. Maybe a kid found it. I didn't care. All that mattered was that I had it. Phase 2. Silence. No confrontations. No warning shots. I didn't block them. Didn't even unfriend them. I just waited. Because the best revenge, I was learning, isn't loud. It's strategic. And the first real opportunity presented itself sooner than I expected. Sophia and I had already sent out our real wedding invitations. Small, Handmade, beautifully minimalist. Only to our inner circle and a few distant relatives I actually trusted. Chloe, of course, got one. So did a couple of David's elderly cousins who always remembered my birthday, even when my parents didn't. Then one morning, a text from Chloe. Heads up, Olivia just posted a TikTok saying she's officiating your wedding. Officiating? I blinked. I immediately pulled up Olivia's TikTok profile. Still public. And there it was, a 30-second video of her in front of a mirror practicing a speech. Caption: Can't believe I get to officiate my baby brother's big day. He always wanted me there for this moment. #wedding season #blessed. Sophia watched over my shoulder, a mix of horror and amusement on her face. I mean, bold of her to just invent a job like that, she deadpanned. I let out a bitter chuckle. And then it hit me. An idea. The kind that starts as a tiny whisper in your brain, then quickly becomes a roaring shout. What if we just let her? Let her keep thinking she was in control. What if we leaned in just enough to make them believe they'd won, and then, at the absolute perfect moment, pulled the rug out from under them? I started making calls. Chloe was the first. She came over the next day, laptop in hand, and I laid everything out, the screenshots, the TikTok, the fake invites. She was furious. Not just for me, but for how easily the rest of the family was being duped. Honestly, she said, the way they treat you, I'm not even surprised. But I am done pretending. I gave her a role, document handler. She would manage the timeline of receipts. If anyone tried to twist the story later, we'd have facts ready. Next, we brought in Daniel, an old college friend who now worked in event security. He agreed to work our wedding for free on one condition. You let me tackle someone if they show up uninvited. Tempting. I'd grinned, but just walk them out nicely. We also looped in Sophia's friend, Maya, a digital marketing guru, who helped us craft a public-facing version of our story. One that didn't spill all the tea, but hinted just enough to control the narrative. We built a wedding website. On the homepage, a personal message from us. After much reflection, we've chosen to celebrate our love. Quietly, with those who've always respected our boundaries. If you didn't receive a personal invitation, we kindly ask that you celebrate from afar and honor our space. This is a joyful, intentional gathering, not a spectacle. We didn't name names. We didn't need to. And then, in the officiant section, a picture of our actual officiant, my high school English teacher, Ms. Albright, a woman who had encouraged my writing, believed in me when I was just a quiet kid in the back row, and who cried when I invited her. I made the site unlisted, but Chloe made sure it found its way into the right family Facebook groups. Within 2 days, Olivia's TikTok was gone. Within 3, Sarah messaged me for the first time in over a month. Ethan, I don't understand what's going on. Why are people saying we're not invited? I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I updated the RSVP system on our site to include a filter. If your name wasn't on the approved list, you received this message. Thank you for your interest, but we're unable to accommodate additional guests. Wishing you peace and love from afar. It worked beautifully. One by one, the dominoes fell. Olivia posted a cryptic Instagram story. Some people forget who was there for them first. Sarah commented on an old photo of me and Sophia. I miss you. You'll regret this someday. David remained radio silent. I knew exactly what they were doing, trying to guilt me back into the role I'd always played. The peacemaker. The one who bent so others didn't break. But that version of me was gone. In his place was someone stronger. Someone who wasn't afraid to say no. As the wedding drew closer, with every RSVP confirmed, every plan finalized, I could feel the moment building. The moment they'd realize they weren't just being excluded. They were being exposed. And I had one final card to play. One that would make sure everyone finally saw them for who they really were. All I had to do was wait for the perfect time to flip it. The morning of our wedding felt sacred. Still. Not quiet, but a profound stillness. Birds chirped. A gentle wind rustled the evergreens, as if the world itself was holding its breath for something important. Our cabin, nestled on the mountain ridge, bathed in soft golden light, was a picture I wished I could bottle. Sophia looked absolutely ethereal. No heavy makeup, no dramatic veil, just her, in a simple ivory dress, hair loosely pinned, her smile radiant enough to light up the whole room. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my tie, watching her reflection as she laughed with Maya, and a profound realization hit me. I wasn't angry anymore. That was the most surprising thing. Not a calm before the storm, but a calm during it, because I knew the storm was coming. And this time, I was the one who'd brought the clouds. The ceremony itself was pure magic. Miss Albright officiated like she was born for it. Warm, poetic, perfectly funny. Our vows had half the guests in tears. Even Daniel, the ex-linebacker security guy, wiping his eyes before pretending he had something stuck in them. We toasted. We danced. We ate wood-fired pizza and sipped warm mulled wine by the fire pit. There were Polaroids, handwritten letters, stories, hugs. No drama, just pure, unadulterated joy. Then, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues, Daniel got a buzz in his earpiece. He looked across the yard, raised a single eyebrow. The signal. They were here. Olivia, Sarah, David. And for good measure, 2 of Olivia's old high school friends, dressed like they were on a red carpet. Uninvited, bold, entitled. Exactly on cue. Daniel met them halfway down the gravel path. Sophia and I watched from the porch, hidden behind a pine beam. Olivia, of course, led the charge. Of course we're here for the wedding, she declared, tossing a curl over her shoulder as if this were perfectly normal. Daniel, arms folded, remained impassive. And your names? You know who we are. Olivia scoffed. I do. That's why I'm asking. Sarah stepped in, hands clasped, adopting that old, saccharine, concerned matriarch voice she'd used to guilt-trip me my whole life. We're family, she cooed. Sure, Daniel said calmly. And you're not on the list. We don't need to be on a list. Olivia snapped. This is my brother's wedding. Daniel reached into his coat pocket. He pulled out an envelope. I recognized it instantly. So did they. It was the same one I'd mailed them 6 weeks ago. Empty, save for their names. No invitation. I think you do, Daniel said, handing it to Olivia. She tore it open, probably expecting some miraculous, last-minute invite. Some sign I'd changed my mind. That she still mattered more than consequences. But it was still empty. Just a folded card that read, "This space reserved for someone who respects. Boundaries. Better luck next time." Olivia's mouth fell open. Sarah went bone white. David, he just turned to leave. That was the moment. He knew it was over. Olivia, however, wasn't done. She tried to storm past Daniel, her heels sinking into the gravel. You can't stop me, she hissed. This is public property. No, Daniel said, unflappable. It's a private venue, booked for a private party. You trespass, I call the sheriff. You wouldn't. He raised an eyebrow. Try me. One of Olivia's friends piped up. You guys are seriously insane. He's your brother. Olivia loved you. Olivia used me, I said, stepping into view. They all whirled around. I was still in my wedding suit, but I stood taller than I ever had before. Use me, I repeated, my voice clear and steady. Lied about me. Tried to erase me from my own life. And now you're shocked that I've finally drawn a line. Olivia opened her mouth to retort, but I kept going. You faked a wedding in my name. Mocked my fiancé. Mocked me. Built an entire group chat to plan my humiliation like it was some kind of party game. And even after we gave you a dignified way to quietly back off, you still came here, uninvited on our day, because you truly believed it was still all about you. Sarah looked like she might burst into tears. Ethan, we just wanted to be part of it. No, I said coldly. You wanted control. You wanted a show. You don't get either. And then, I played my final card. I reached into my coat pocket and handed Olivia a small USB stick. What's this? She stammered. Everything, I replied. Your texts, your group chat, your voice notes, the lies, the manipulation. All compiled, all backed up. One copy went to every family member who got your fake wedding invite. Another went to Noah's lawyer. Because if you're this bold with me, I figured you're probably just as reckless with your divorce proceedings. Her face completely drained of color. You're bluffing. Am I? I nodded to Maya, who stood on the porch, laptop open. She hit play. A speaker by the door crackled to life. Olivia's voice. Ethan probably still thinks we're being nice to keep the family together. He's so dumb. Let him plan his little fairy tale. We'll take over when it matters. Sarah gasped. David stepped back, rubbing his eyes. Turn that off. Olivia shrieked. I waved to Maya. She stopped it after 5 seconds. Plenty more where that came from, I said quietly. Silence. Then, Olivia finally broke. She turned on Sarah. Why didn't you stop him? Why didn't you tell me he had that? Sarah didn't answer. Because what could she say? They had lost, and everyone knew it. Sophia came to stand beside me, not saying a word, just sliding her hand into mine. It was over. No yelling. No chaos. Just a slow, devastating collapse of everything they tried to build on lies. Daniel stepped forward one last time. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Olivia looked like she might protest, but David, silent until now, put a hand on her shoulder. Let's go. His voice flat, hollow, like something had finally clicked into place. They turned and left. No goodbyes, just footsteps crunching down the gravel path, fading into the woods. We went back inside, rejoining the party. The music played. Laughter returned. The fire crackled as the stars emerged, one by one. Later that night, as the last few guests gathered around the Asmore's bar, Miss Albright gave an impromptu poetry reading. Chloe came up to me, a glass of cider in hand. She raised it. To peace. To truth, I said. We clinked. And for the first time in my life, I felt whole. Not because I'd won, but because I'd finally chosen myself. That's the thing about family. Sometimes it's the people who raise you, and sometimes it's the people who help you rise. I'll never forget what it felt like watching them walk away. But I'll also never forget what it felt like walking back inside with my wife, my friends, my real family, knowing I'd finally closed that door for good. And this time, I didn't look back. So, tell me, if you found out your own family was plotting against you, actively trying to erase you from your own milestones, what would you do? How would you handle that betrayal? Let me know in the comments below.